So how can your business attract customers the old-fashioned way? Some insights on keeping customers for life from an old course, the birthplace of golf, St. Andrews, Scotland.
I showed up at 4:30 in the morning, was the first one here. Could barely see with all the fog. Wish I would have brought some more clothes, that's for sure. It's pretty cold out here, but just waiting to get on the old course.
What's your story, Keith? How do you explain to the world? If no one knew a clue about what's going on here, how do you explain this behavior?
You've got a chance to play golf in history. And you don't really get to live history very often, but you get to live history here.
Just outside the starters box here at the old course in St. Andrews, and forget that this is a golf course. Let's look at St. Andrews through the lens of any business. It could be your business, the business that you hope that someday could become what I call a category of one. Let's face it, there's no other course like this on the planet. I mean, for the golfer, this is like Bethlehem, Mecca, and the Vatican all rolled up into one. People from all over the world will make a special pilgrimage just to come here. It's definitely a bucket list item out of 26,000 plus golf courses. This is probably one of the top three, along with Augusta National and Pebble Beach. But let's talk about it in terms of how they actually attract customers the old-fashioned way. And inevitably, that's going to focus on the difference between push and pull. I mean, let's face it, would you rather push your business and your company upon customers, or would you rather have a well-orchestrated pull strategy that makes people come to you, that actually makes them line up here sometimes as early as 3 or 2 o'clock in the morning just to get one of the precious ballots that are available for that particular day's play. So when you think in terms of push versus pull, think about what it takes to create what I call a category of one, to make the competition completely irrelevant. So you ask, well, how does St. Andrews do that? I think there's three things. There's three key things that St. Andrews is doing each and every day to perpetuate that category of one, that brand of distinction, if you will, that separates it from anyone else in its space. And here's the first thing. They actually know who they are. Yes, St. Andrews Golf actually knows who they are. And here's what I mean by that. They know the difference between just running a golf course or being a global temple of worship. And when you see yourself as a global temple of worship, you're going to act and behave much differently. There's a sense of stewardship, there's a sense of pride that comes with that actually carries over into all the everyday actions. So, for example, here at St. Andrews, they also have this very strong embedded feeling of certain non-negotiables. Because they know who they are, they know what they're against. See, everyone's for a lot of the same things, but what you are in terms of what you stand against will really help define and separate you from everyone else. So, for example, here at St. Andrews, there's no golf carts. People have to walk. No hackers are allowed. Gentlemen, for instance, if you have a handicap over 24, you're not allowed on the course. There's no entrance to the clubhouse. That's for the members of the Royal and Ancient only. There's a number of things that are not permitted on this course, but at the same time, there's a bit of a paradox. Don't think it's just for the elite, because this, ironically enough, is a public course. It belongs to the people here at St. Andrews. So on the one hand, it's highly public. On the other hand, it's a course that not everyone can get on. And so consequently, St. Andrews actually knows who they are through these non-negotiables, and more importantly, they know who their customers are. How does this apply to your business? When you actually know who you are, what you stand against, what are your non-negotiables, and know who your customer really is in terms of who you actually attract, who would be attracted in terms of whatever exclusivity you are trying to carve, then, only then, will you be able to create something like a category of 1?
I'm extremely excited, very nervous about the first tee shot. Don't want to top it. I don't know, just overly excited and anxious and just ready to go.
The first time I had a caddy and we're standing on the tee box and he said, "Are you cold, man?" And I looked down at my hands and my hands were shaking and I said, "No." And then I looked and I thought, oh heavens, it's gotten to me.
Just walking on that bridge was surreal, just knowing that some of the greats like Arnold Palmer, Tiger Woods, and all the great players from all over the world come out here and tourists from everywhere. So it was very surreal to be able to walk and see everything.
Number 2, St. Andrews Old Course embraces storytelling like nobody's business. Storytelling that becomes myth-making, the stuff legends are made of. Going back to old Tom Morris in the 1800s, he was a 4-time British Open champion. His greenskeeping techniques, the keeper of the greens, they call old Tom, well, those techniques are still being used today. But whether it's old Tom Morris or his son, young Tom Morris, who passed away tragically far too early in life, everywhere you walk, you are amongst the ghosts of greatness, whether it's Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, Greg Norman, Nick Faldo, Tiger Woods, the best of the best, Seve Ballesteros, who've all been here to St. Andrews and emerged as champions. So when you stop and think about it, there's something to be said for creating an atmosphere of greatness through the power of storytelling. All 18 holes, for example, including this one, the road hole on 17, are all individually named. All 112 bunkers are also individually named, including the Hell Bunker up over there on 14. But when you stop and really think about it in a rational context, St. Andrews Golf was around for about 6 centuries before the world discovered the story through the magic of television in the 1960s and the 1970s, when the legends of Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer and that rivalry was taking shape. That's how St. Andrews was able to communicate its story to the world, and now the world is coming to St. Andrews to enjoy that story in increasing numbers year after year. So from a storytelling perspective, think about how the power of story and the creation of mythology and legends could greatly impact your business and your ability to attract and keep customers for life. What are the stories you're telling, and what are the stories that are actually going to make people come your way in a very natural, in a very organic, almost unexplainable but fascinating fashion?
You know, playing the old course for the first time was absolutely amazing. You know, to know that golf actually started here, and in 2017 we can come enjoy it with the same type of personalities, I believe, that were here when golf started.
You're part of the Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube generation, yet this is all about tradition and history. How does this place stay relevant for young people?
Yeah, you know, I've never even thought about that. You know, Adam and I are out here, my cousin, taking Snapchats of, you know, the 18th green, but you know, to think Arnold Palmer, you know, I don't think Arnie would have liked if I had my camera out on 18 or any of the holes, but you know, I think about it on every hole about how historic it is, and you know, it's just incredible for a guy like me, young guy, to be able to experience it.
The attraction to me in the beginning was just the fact that it was the oldest course. The attraction to me after I played are actually the caddies and the people that live and work here.
Do you think an appreciation of history, no matter what it is, will ever go out of style, no matter how much technology changes?
Not a shot. I mean, look at all these ancient buildings around us. You know, it'll be like this forever, and you know, a guy like me, a guy like my cousin will have respect for this place just because of what's happened here and how old it is. So it's just an awesome place.
And number 3, as we wrap it up here from the old course in St. Andrews, they have an ability to both honor tradition and embrace change. I mean, 5 decades or so ago, they could have said no with all of its tradition to the advent of network television, but that would have prevented St. Andrews from sharing its story with the world. Today, new technologies, electronic measuring devices, so the players can determine their drives and the distance to the flag. Those things are being permitted. Things that old Tom Morris never could have imagined. St. Andrews now has a Facebook and Twitter account. They have live webcams on the first tee and the 18th green. And there's also now a digital storytelling format so that the people who do show up here from all over the world can actually record their story, share it with their friends, so it remains part of the ongoing legend that is St. Andrews, Scotland. The old course has this way of keeping customers, attracting customers from all over the planet. But think about these 3 things and how they relate to your business. How well do you know exactly who you are and the customers you serve? How effectively are you embracing storytelling? And what about the traditions you need to honor, as well as the change you need to be on top of in order to stay way ahead of the relevance curve to basically attract customers the old-fashioned way? Some thoughts to help you recreate, reimaginate the business, the brand, the career that you deserve.